YouTube, it's your guy, not your average trucker, coming to you on a rainy Friday down here in Taylor, South Carolina. You know, end of another busy week, another strange week, because a lot of my local trucks, you know, I have contracted freight, but from time to time I have to use, load boards, to get spot rates and just grab loads here and there as needed, This week has been extremely tough, man. I don't know what's going on, but loads have been few and far in between. Thankfully, I'm still able to keep my trucks moving every day, but normally I have my loads, if it's not a contracted load, I have my loads booked out maybe 2-3 days out in advance, So on Monday I already know what the job is picking up on Wednesday, or whatever. But this week has literally been a day-to-day basis. It's been strange. I'm looking for loads the day before, can't find any. And if I do find a load, I call, and brokers know what's going on out here. They know that, when there's a drought or slow moving freight, they know that because their phone is blowing up off the hook. They post one load and maybe 20 carriers are calling about it. So the loads that I do see, the brokers are trying to take you for a fool, and a load that normally pays $700, they trying to get you to do it for $500, crap like that. And that's not my style. That'll never be my style. I'll send a truck back to the yard before I let them haul a cheap load, But it's been really strange this week. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking up on like Truckers Report and all that forums, and there's a bunch of people talking, and apparently it's an issue going on nationwide the last couple weeks. I haven't, noticed it because, for the most part, I'm either doing contracted freight or I got a handful of brokers that normally have the same loads every day, and they normally just hitting me up and we booking them. So I noticed this week that was not the case, man. And it was like, I was talking to my wife about it. It's like, I just randomly open up the load board, to prove my point. I'm looking for loads around Charlotte, going towards Atlanta, or going towards like Richmond, Virginia. There might be 1 or 2 loads posted, when normally any other day there's hundreds of loads posted, obviously that's including sometimes a broker post the same load several times, but for some reason this week that hadn't been the case. It's a bunch of old heads trying to tell me, nah man, it's because of an election year. Look man, I've been in business almost 10 years. We've had several elections in that 10-year span, and that was never the case before. Then some guys are like, maybe it's because of these Trump tariffs. And, what Trump is doing over to China and all that. I'm like, yeah, I get it. A lot of these plants that we pick up loads for, they might have parts or whatever that come from overseas. Yeah, but we're talking about flatline is nothing around, period. It's like, yo, we pick up beverages. That ain't got nothing to do with China. We pick up, like, paper products. That ain't got nothing to do with China. So I find that possible, but I find that hard to believe as well. And I even had a broker call me because he wanted one of my trucks to pick up a load out of Hickory, North Carolina, to take down to Greenville, South Carolina. And I had a broker asking me, hey man, how's freight for you? I'm like, for the most part it's good. I got my contracted stuff, man. And the broker's complaining to me about there not being any freight, because he's in a similar situation as a trucker, he only get paid when he got loads to move, But the difference between him and me is he got loads like nationwide, so he has more of a palette to choose from. But he was telling me how he has some of his main carriers that he deals with all the time that are having the deadhead from Atlanta all the way up to, the Charlotte area to pick up freight. And I found that hard to believe. I'm like, you're talking about 240, 250 miles. You know, you got people dead ending 300 miles for loads. Like, what in the world is coming? Because the last couple years has been really good. Even if I had a couple trucks where I exclusively only loads I had for them two trucks was coming from load boards, and I didn't have a problem. So that got me to thinking: there's people out here complaining nationwide about there being like a freight shortage. I'm like, all right, we're still in the middle of hurricane season, and we did have some back-to-back hurricanes hit, the East Coast, mainly North and South Carolina. So maybe that could slow things up a bit. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychic or a genius, so I don't know. I just know that this week was extremely tough using load boards, man. Like, extremely tough. I mean, I was lucky enough, every day I still minded, because I only had to use the load board for 3 of my trucks this week, but it was like every day. And it was just weird, like, my drivers have appointments to get unloaded at 7, and they're, done getting unloaded, 8 o'clock, 8:30. And then, normally how it works with me, once my driver arrives and gets unloaded, he sends me his paperwork, then I text them, their next load or whatever. I stopped giving it to them ahead of time, because I found, I only get paid when I get that paperwork. Because once you send me that paperwork, I got to do what I got to do to invoice, and it's taking me, anywhere from 20 to 30 days to get paid from these shippers or brokers or whoever I decide to use. So, quicker I get my paperwork, quicker I can start the process of getting paid, because at the end of the day, my drivers is paid every week. Every single time they're paid before I even get paid for a load. You know what I mean? So I stopped, because I used to just get them 3 loads in a row. That way they know what they got to do. Zoom, 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 handle it. Then some of these guys will forget to send me their paperwork. It'd be 3 and 4 days late getting my paperwork, which means 3 and 4 days late of me getting the ball rolling on getting paid. But anyway, so I'm having drivers getting empty early this week, and texting me for their next load, and I'm in the middle of looking for a load. You know what I mean? So that's become extremely weird this week, because I'm normally on top of it, because like I say, I book all my freight, I handle all my accounting, and I drive, so it's like a lot on my plate, and looking for loads was the least of my problems. You understand? But yeah, man, that just had me scratching my head, man. It's like, what the hell is going on with freight? Because, being in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm in a prime location for a lot of things. A lot of things. So there should never be a time that I turn on the load board and there's nothing there, you know what I mean? It's kind of scary, like if I didn't have contracted freight, I would just have my drivers sitting at home all day? Then they would be out looking for other work. Let me slide my tandem. So like I say, I hope that's not a sign of things to come, because like I said, this week I had to exclusively use the load board every day for 3 of my trucks, because my contracted freight wasn't moving this week. Pause. Yeah, man, like I said, man, it's raining hard as hell. I just had to slide my damn tandems, man. I just picked up a heavy ass load of paper rolls, man, out here in Taylor, South Carolina, that I gotta take back to Charlotte. I mean, it's less than a 100-mile run, and they paying me $700 on it, so it is what it is, man. Go ahead and get that bread, But like I said, man, just curious out here, man. Like, when you run into these slow down situations, what do you do? Like if you're a local guy with no contracts, and you know, hitting up the load board daily for your loads, when freight is slow like this, what do? You know, do you turn around at that point and decide, hey man, I'm just gonna go back OTR? Or do you just sit at the crib, you know? Let me get up this steep ass hill, man. I'll be right back, pardon me. Anyway, back at it, man. I made it back to Charlotte. Heavy ass paper. But anyway, like I was saying before, man, I'm just curious. If you're a small operation and you find yourself without, you know, the ability to find loads on load boards, what's your next option, you know? Because you already have your own authority, so you already out there, you know, in the world. If you're looking for freight, can't find freight, then what? What do you sell your fleet and go get a company driver job? Or do you lease all your trucks on with, you know, a major carrier? I was always curious about that, man. Hopefully, like I say, it's been a decade since I've been in business, and I've never seen, you know, the market bad like that to where I had to shut trucks down or anything like that. You know, there's always ups and downs in any, you know, in any profession. And, you know, like I say, for the last 10 years, it's been good for us. I was always curious about that, though, man. I mean, if it gets worse, then what? You know? I guess instead of having a bunch of local trucks, I would have to send trucks, you know, around the southeast or something, you know? Because I already got a handful of trucks that I just send. Basically, I got a contract that's literally every day, well, Monday through Friday, from North Carolina to Florida. You know, it's round trip. So I got a handful of guys that I do that. Then I got another handful of guys that, you know, we just run local stuff. I don't really send anybody, you know, cross country anymore. Wasn't really beneficial to me. I could make the same money sending a truck from North Carolina to Florida and back than I would, I mean, more money actually than I would sending them from, you know, just sending them all around the world and then just getting them back on Fridays, you know. It's less of a headache for me, less of a hassle. I actually prefer just having trucks run locally, because the bad thing you run into as a, you know, a smaller fleet is you got guys nationwide. They break down. You dealing with, you know, roadside mechanics, or you dealing with you know, dealers that you don't necessarily have a relationship with. And, you know, I learned the hard way, man. A lot of times you just blatantly get ripped off, you know. So that was one of my main reasons to find a route, you know, lucked up into finding a route for my guys that they're pretty much up and down the same highway all the time. So I'm around the same shops. And then even more so, my local guys, anything happens to them, I got people I deal with in Charlotte. I have people I deal with 90 miles down the road in Greensboro. So my local guys are always near a network that I am comfortable with dealing with, that I can't really say I trust, because, you know, you don't trust nobody in business, but I have relationships with mechanics and service advisors in various places in the area. So that's the great thing about, you know, keeping my trucks local. You know, I'm not a big enough company to where I just have mechanics on payroll that just work on my trucks all day, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. But like I say, man, I done made it back to the yard, about to back in this parking spot, go home and enjoy my weekend. Carolina Panthers taking on these Baltimore Ravens this week. Need a dub, man. You know, we beat up on Philly, state of Pennsylvania. Let's bring it down I-95 and beat up on Maryland, you know what I mean? But it's your guy, not your average trucker. Everybody be safe, and if you're having a hard time finding freight, good luck to you, man. Hopefully it's just a temporary slowdown, and it's not a drastic, a permanent slowdown that's gonna last longer than a week or a couple weeks. Wish everybody peace, love, and prosperity. Holla at your boy, not your average trucker. You heard?